You're watching the award-winning GHS-TV, a nationally recognized student television station.
Hello and welcome to Shelby County Schools Report. We're coming to you from the studios of Germantown High School Television on the GHS campus. I'm Raina Katko.
And I'm Rachel Christopherson. Each month we highlight various people, programs, and events making a difference in our school system.
This month we're excited to introduce you to 3 outstanding teachers who go above and beyond. Their dedication is why they were named SCS Teachers of the Year.
Parents will want to stay tuned for today's SCS Focus. Executive producer Allison Long is joined by Shelby County Schools Chief of Staff, Dr. John Baker. They will discuss his role as the right-hand man to Interim Superintendent Dr. Joris Ray.
Our first Teacher of the Year is Thomas Denson. He teaches pre-K at Cherokee Elementary School. But before he got the call to teach, Mr. Denson was a graphic designer. Now he's using his art background to create a colorful learning experience for his students.
You notice there's just a lot of single-parent households. These students can actually relate to men that don't have the men in the community or at home.
You can learn a lot from men just like you can women, and all children need men and women in their environment in order to, I feel like, become a fully rounded person.
1, 2, 3.
I'm the only male pre-K teacher here and in Shelby County Schools.
I hired Mr. Denson, and I was shocked that he really wanted to teach 4-year-olds.
What we're going to do is we're going to go over what we've been talking about, the letter of the week.
I was actually teaching kindergarten, and I was one of the only male kindergarten teachers. And that's something that I feel that they should bring in more men into early literacy, and for principals to understand that, men are just as passionate as women, and they do just as great of a job.
I do like Mr. Denson.
His work is not a show. His work is authentic, it's purposeful, and it's very focused on what students need in everyday living.
Correct? Yeah! Yes, let's give Christopher a smiley face.
You have to look at them at eye level. You're down on the ground a lot. You're making eye contact with them. You're talking very positive to them. You're asking them questions. You're trying to get their emotions and their feelings out.
He's silly. He's goofy.
Everybody say underwear.
I think that helps him with the kids because the kids, they want to see a silly person too. It makes them laugh. And again, that makes the kids want to do things with them.
They love you. They love anybody that they can trust. They love anybody that can show them that you love them. If you can figure out a way to get into the students and get them to trust you, then you're set. You've got an instant connection and you're able to do anything.
Students like to be a part of that process because it shows ownership. And he uses that technique to say, hey, when I correct you, we decided on this.
I'm very good at the craft of getting kids to learn.
I actually have 2 children of my own that was taught by Mr. Denson, and both of my children, they can write their name, they can read, they can write.
It's vital, it's important, and it's something that I've become more passionate about as a teacher. Literacy is really the main focus of everything, especially when it comes to early childhood. They've got to be reading by 3rd grade.
Ursula is stuck.
This is pre-K, so some of the kids couldn't read. Some of them didn't know how to spell their name. But now, our kids are actually reading.
I'm really good at getting the kids to read. I've learned the craft that it takes in order to start from the beginning to start a process.
Each of his students have grown from what the point they started to where they are now.
Very good. Rug.
Not just singing the alphabet song, but being able to recognize letters and make those letter sounds in relationship with the phoneme and the phonics.
Mud.
There you go.
Good job.
You had to have been in this profession for a while in order to understand how to teach a kid. And the thing is, you're not teaching them how to read, you're teaching them how to think. If you can teach a kid how to think, then they're able to give you so much more.
Mr. Denson is a good teacher.
What's the first sound we hear in chug?
Mr. Denson was selected because of his uniqueness. He captivates his audience wherever he goes.
Good job, Jace.
Denson deserves to be Teacher of the Year because he went above and beyond. He made sure the entire school was benefiting from his work.
He works with the science team. He writes grants.
He worked on the gym that we won. His kids are actually too small for that, so that was a very selfless act.
He is not selfish. That is what makes him such a great person, because it's not about Mr. Denson. It's all about how can we expose our students to more.
Nice job.
I feel like a teacher is not someone that should just be stuck inside their classroom and with their 20 students. I feel like if you work with a community and if you work with a certain school, then what you should be able to do is really involve all the students and all of the community.
I don't feel like there could be anyone better to be nominated and to receive the award just because of how much he does and with a smile on his face.
He is so deserving of Teacher of the Year because it's not something that he's doing to say, hey, I'm Teacher of the Year. He said, well, my name didn't get submitted to Nashville. I said, but you know what? You're awesome right here in Shelby County Schools.
Our next Teacher of the Year is Alicia Clark, a 5th grade teacher at Crump Elementary. Her strong bond with her students and fellow teachers was evident when we visited her classroom.
So this article, it gave you the good and the bad.
An ideal teacher in my eyes is somebody who has a passion for students, because if you really don't care about the students, you don't need to be in the classroom.
Determine the meaning of words and phrases as they are used in the text. I'm here to make a difference. This was something that I knew I was destined to do.
You're not just here because you're getting paid. You're here because you have a true motivation, and your motivation is to increase student growth, to make sure that these students are successful in the future.
She helps us understand a lot.
She encourages us to persevere through our hardships. She communicates with us when we have personal issues. She feeds us and so much more.
I want them at an age to where I can mold them.
It's a task. It's very challenging. The age, the transition age in which they're at. One day they want to be a baby. One day they want to be an adult. It's dealing with all that. We have to keep in our minds, we're responsible for their future.
Come on, help me out. One more.
We learned how to write a very strong opinion piece. There are some jobs that help.
So my goal is to ensure that they receive the necessary training that they need in order for them to be successful. Your own perspective, Jay.
They love Miss Clark. They cannot wait to see Miss Clark.
Restate your claim in the conclusion. You guys are making me feel so wonderful about this.
She knows when we don't understand.
She helps us in areas where we are weak and make us master that stand.
She knows in her heart that every child can learn.
So at the end of the school year, my goal is for you to be able to accomplish this.
She makes sure all of her children are engaged. She doesn't take notes for an answer, and she pushes all of her children to their full potential.
Studying in this class is so intense because we have to make sure our studies are mastered, and if we don't study, we always have a test every day.
It depends on the situation. Now, if the situation requires me to be strict, then yes, I'm going to be strict. I want you to just form a thesis statement, okay?
She has two phases because she's gonna play with you, laugh at you, smile at you.
I'm loving it. Come on, Mia.
But when it's time to work, then we leave that behind. It's time to study and be focused. If someone disagrees with what I think, I'm still gonna respect their opinion.
Today, we're going to compose opinion pieces, okay? So
although she's small in stature, she has the biggest personality, she has the biggest heart, and she is a big teacher.
Can we scrutinize this?
Yes.
What does scrutinize mean?
Anytime you walk in her classroom, she's busy working with the students, she's on her feet. Everything is student-centered.
Miss Clark likes to entertain us.
A subject is a word that tells
who or what the sentence is about. She tells someone to give her a beat.
Give me the beat. Come on, pump it up. A subject is a word that tells.
Then she starts it off, then we repeat it, and we all have fun. We stand up, we make rhythms. Who or what the sentence is about.
I sing. If I'm teaching them sentences, I give them something. A sentence is complete. With 5 simple rules, it meets.
To me, it helps because sometimes when you learn, you may hear it, but it doesn't stick in your brain. So when there's a song you keep hearing, it's gonna stick, and it's amusing as well.
And I'm loving to give these guys a round of applause. Yeah. And so when I teach different parts of speech, I'll come up with a little something, and I'll let the kids sing and dance, and we kind of clap, but at the same time, they're learning. Now your turn, guys.
Read and analyze several texts to determine my claim.
She gave me many power words. She increased my vocabulary. She increased how I write.
Ms. Clark teach you vocabulary words, how to break apart these words. It's one of my strong suits, vocabulary.
She makes sure that we are outstanding and we perform amazingly.
It should have details about what you think about what you say.
When I say an all-around person, I'm an all-around person when it comes to being in this classroom and the connection that I have with the students. You have options, okay? It's your paper, so you make the decision. And that's one of my #1 strengths, relationships. I build relationships with them from day one, just meeting them. I let them know this is a safe environment for you. Ooh, that's a lazy one.
Generosity is very one of her strengths and one of her high quality.
Every need that they have, I try to meet it. I've gone so far as over my 20 years of teaching, I buy shoes for my children, I buy coats, any school supplies they need.
Sometimes I have to stop her. I said, you cannot keep using your own money, but she uses her own personal money to help out with the parents if she knew of a need.
She feeds kids, she gives to the needy, and she just goes beyond the classroom with her students.
I've paid light bills. I've given parents gas money.
We just can't give up on that kid because we have to keep in our minds that we hold these children's futures in our hands. We have the future lawyers, doctors, teachers, engineers. We try to make them as productive as we can.
This is what I was called to do. Meeting so many unique children. It's been not only great for the students, but it's been a great experience for me. So if I could do it all over again, I would still come to this earth and be a teacher.
What great teachers we have here in Shelby County Schools. Later, you'll meet the final SCS Teacher of the Year. But coming up, GHS-TV executive producer Allison Long sits down with SCS's new Chief of Staff to discuss his new role.
When a superintendent leaves the school system and a new leader comes in, there is a changing of the guard, so to speak. Shortly after interim superintendent Dr. Joris Ray was appointed, he brought in Dr. John Barker to be his Chief of Staff, his right-hand man. We are excited to have him on this month's SCS Focus. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for the opportunity and offer to be here.
So you've been away for a while, but you are not a stranger to this area. Can you tell us kind of your background and where you came from?
Sure. Well, I like to say that I'm the last I was the last Chief of Staff to the Superintendent of Memphis City Schools. So my time with being the Chief of Staff then was in the Chicago Public Schools. So I left the district in 2013. The districts merged in 2013 there in the summertime and was away. So I was serving with Chicago Public Schools. I was the Chief Accountability Officer there. and was watching from afar. So in fact, one of my dear buddies is Dr. David Stevens, who's superintendent out at Bartlett Public Schools. And what was interesting was to talk with David on the regular about how things were going in the district, and several other friends as well. So in coming back, it was essentially coming back to something that I was familiar with, but still a little bit on the different kind of side. It was great to come back. Grew up in Humboldt, Tennessee, and was a student in the public school system there. Both my parents taught. My mother taught algebra and geometry. My dad taught chemistry and physics. My dad went on to work for the State Department of Education. So I like to say that education is our family business. I have a sister who lives in Philadelphia, PA, and she's a kindergarten teacher, an excellent kindergarten teacher, by the way. And she got her start at Ross Elementary School. And in fact, I ran into someone just yesterday who taught with her, and it's just been really great to kind of have that homecoming feel, that we end up with so many great colleagues from Memphis City and Shelby County and blended into now this new district is really kind of fascinating for me to see, kind of 6 years down the line. After I had left Chicago Public Schools, I did about 3 years of consulting. So I saw school districts around the country and worked with other clients, and have been really, really glad and honored to have been asked by longtime friend and dear colleague, Dr. Joris Ray, who, the way he tells the story, and this is the way I remember it as well, he was named the superintendent on the 12th of December, and he called me on the 13th. So having been in that situation and having been in that spot as Chief of Staff, I like to think that I'm bringing some experience to come back and help Superintendent Ray, and really most of all, the students and the families of Shelby County.
Yeah. So what are your day-to-day responsibilities as Chief of Staff?
Well, so I've got a 15-year-old daughter who goes to Central High School, and she's a freshman. And because we live in Midtown Memphis, she walks to school, which is really kind of an interesting experience. But she says that I'm the chief of stuff, and that's about as great a description as you could use, right? So the chief of stuff does things that a lot of times it's in relationships with the board. So we have 9 school board members, all of them wonderful, all of them focused on serving their constituencies in their areas. But people will come to them from the community. So just kind of as a thumbnail from this morning, I've been on the phone and texting back and forth with board members about particular concerns that they would have had raised by constituents, that we have systems issues that we're dealing with, and trying to figure out exactly how to make things go more smoothly for students, for teachers, for parents, for really all of our stakeholders in the county. So there's that kind of thing with the work. Superintendent Ray, as many superintendents do, some people always ask about, what's the role of the Chief of Staff? And you might know, and people might be familiar with the Chief of Staff from watching West Wing, back in the day, and you see Leo as the Chief of Staff. And somebody texted me the other day, said, "Are you kind of like Leo?" It's like, yeah, what it happens is that there's oftentimes that leadership, and Dr. Ray has asked me to do that for the cabinet. So, making the agenda for the cabinet, making sure that I touch base with everybody on cabinet. The role of the Chief of Staff really is one of support. I support the board, I support the superintendent, but I support my colleagues who are on cabinet. And what we're really trying to do is, my job, as it always has been, is to help people do their jobs better.
So for our viewers who are watching and curious about what's happening within Shelby County Schools, what are some things coming down the pike that you are interested in seeing come to fruition, or things that are exciting that our parents and students would like to know?
Yeah, super question to think about kind of where we are and where we're going, really. It's like, we know where we've been, and where we've been over the past 6 years is coming to a place where we're now, with a new superintendent, kind of post-merger, and kind of thinking that, we're 6 years down the line and we've taken a new step. Superintendent Hobson, who's a longtime dear friend, and, just really, really was excited to see the work that he was doing and putting the district together. I think now this represents kind of that next step. And Dr. Ray is bold in his approach. He is all about exquisite execution. And exquisite execution looks like doing the right thing every time for students, for families, and really getting that going. So the kinds of things that we're doing and reaching out through our Family and Community Engagement Department, and really getting community engagement around, parental issues, around our budget, and the kinds of things that we really want to make sure that we hear from parents about. So there are plenty of opportunities that we're going to be sharing in the coming days and how to get involved with that. We got a lot of things from my standpoint, I guess, as far as Chief of Staff. and working with that board, as I mentioned there, and working with the staff, to get all of our processes right. So I know that we have some people across the county who from time to time might not be able to get the kind of immediate response that they're looking for. Timeliness, customer service, customer satisfaction issues. So we're really looking to push on those issues. And talking this morning even, that one of the things that I've been dealing with my colleagues on is, that early is on time and on time is late. And I think where we are with that is moving along the line, not to beat anybody up about that, but really to kind of move the ball down the field in terms really, again, of helping students and families. On the budget front, we've got some really exciting initiatives that are going to be coming forward. We look forward to talking about those in the coming days. But, really focusing on Dr. Ray's 7 next steps toward Destination 2025.
Great.
We've got some great things that are happening. Our graduation rate is up. We've got some good numbers that are coming from our increase in student participation in college and career activities beyond graduation. We've still got some challenges though. So when you see those numbers in 3rd grade literacy, that we're going to have to do a lot of heavy lift on that. So we're going to be rolling out some ideas as to how to get that done. I think one of the things that people may have heard about is this 3rd grade guarantee. So it's not about retaining students. It's about making students have all the tools that they need to move on to be successful in the 3rd grade. So, developmental process is always interesting, and I've seen that in my home and seen it in the classroom and, researched and studied this. But, some kids are ready to move on. Some kids need some extra dosing, as we talk about, a dose of literacy, an extra dose of math. So really being intentional of focusing on that K through 2 span and really providing kids who come from all different backgrounds. Public schools, as many people talk about, that parents aren't keeping the good kids at home and sending us the students who have the greatest challenges. It's just that we have all students to address their needs and really meet their needs. So across the spectrum, our goal is to provide a great opportunity for education for kids regardless of where they're coming to us from, and especially in that kindergarten range, that we need to be able to meet kids where they are and really begin a great 12 years of schooling for them.
Great. Well, I was going to ask you, but unfortunately we're out of time. I was going to ask you where you see yourself in a year from now, but we'll save that for a year from now, and we'll have you back where you can reflect on your first year. And,
thanks.
But I do know that we're happy to have you back, and welcome back to Shelby County Schools.
Thank you.
Our final teacher of the year is Mary McIntosh, a social studies teacher at Central High School. She says being able to work with young people and teaching them to be critical thinkers and writers is a calling she just had to answer.
History is not boring when you teach it the right way.
What you're trying to do is just get the main purpose of that document. History is so important because we are part of the story, and the past is constantly speaking to the present.
These things that we learn, these how to have better conversations, how to disagree, they carry on into all of your relationships. That's something that I learned in Facing History, and I've never learned it anywhere else.
I think you were going to point something out, weren't you? Teaching is a craft, it's an art, and in order to do art, you've got to have relationships with the people that you're working with. In the end, this cultural revolution fails.
I can see the passion in her work, I can see the passion in her effort, I can see the passion in her relationship with her students.
It makes us want to learn.
She does that in a collaborative effort with things that are very relevant to students.
The classroom's like a living organism for me. How many reasons have you just heard in the 3 of you that just talked? I feed off of the kids, they can feed off of me. Is what?
These children reading the books.
And some of that's me, some of it's personalities that get together with the kids, but when it really clicks, it's really fun.
She's very good about letting the students do their learning. She's got them in groups. She's got them talking to their peers.
She gives them a wonderful opportunity to be challenged. They get to show it in forms of different types of projects and discussion.
I want you to write your outline. And my classroom is always set up in groups of tables, and I call it table talk.
There aren't very many classes that I can say have come up in a conversation with my best friend or have come up with an argument with my friend. Learning to step back and really listen to what other people are saying.
So you're going to teach to each other, and we're going to understand them a little more deeply as the class goes on.
She's very open to both sides of the discussion. She cares about every side and every point of view that you could have.
Jeremy started about with the red book. I would say that's an example that happened in the Cultural Revolution. Christian started to build toward that. He was saying they were trying to change everything. What was the goal of the Cultural Revolution?
She's good enough to where she argues both sides. If one student's taking one point, she takes the opposite point. And then they switch, and then she will switch on them.
So does that explain why the youth fell for it?
No,
it doesn't.
She wants them to think about what they're saying or writing or doing.
I want you guys to start trying to answer that question. And how do you fit the pictures with the text? It is hard to hang on to neutrality. I'm aware of it. I think there's a critical piece of hanging on to your humility, realizing you might be wrong sometimes, and sharing that with students.
She's very honest.
She's firm but friendly. That's a great way to describe it.
It's that combination, it's the mixture of the two, and the kids, they react to nurturing with expectations very well.
We're all comfortable. So it's like home. We're all brothers and sisters.
Nicely done. Thank you. Over there.
She's a very kind person, but she's kind of like a mom in that way. She wants you to do your best, and she expects nothing else.
She demands things out of her students that her students probably didn't think they had in them.
I want a phrase, and I want an example.
She's not strict, she's kind. I mean, she has a good organized classroom, she's kind to them, so they're able to, learn from her because she's kind enough.
The way she teaches it is she teaches you how to use that history and make it better. Not that the history would be better, but what you can do with it to be better.
What about freedom? The lack of freedom. You need to approach complicated topics with a knowledge and understanding that you have to understand other perspectives. You need to approach that with a willingness to listen and not always convince. Maybe you're looking to change hearts, not minds, on things.
Ms. McIntosh was nominated as Teacher of the Year for Shelby County because she is the best teacher.
You know, there are a lot of really great teachers, and I teach with a lot of really great teachers. So there's a lot of people that could be awarded this.
I believe she received the award because she really takes curriculum and makes it applicable in ways that students can use it outside of the classroom.
I would hope that everybody would have a chance to have that experience. You know, you talk about where your passion kind of fits like a glove with a need. I feel like I'm living that now.
It would have been a privilege for me as a student to have a teacher like her.
She is the only reason I really want to come to school because I love her class.
Love teaching. Love teaching. Just to be in these spaces with young people and have a chance to ask them questions about what does it mean to have a just and humane world, taking them way beyond the sound bites. I'm really lucky to do that. I'm really lucky.
It's a blast from the past as Shelby County Schools relaunches the Homework Hotline. Here's more about the program that connects teachers to students who need a little extra help with their homework.
Homework Hotline is a free homework and tutorial help program for our students. It is phone and web-based, so our students can call in from home. They can join us online to ask questions about their homework.
I just want to make sure that it's a fraction, and any number divided by 1 is going to be the same number.
Our students can call in with any kind of core education questions or core instruction questions. They can ask about fractions, or they may ask about diagramming sentences or sentence structure. They may need assistance with understanding a piece of literature that they're reading in class. One thing that's really great about Homework Hotline is that help is available for our students in multiple languages. So students can call in and get help in English, of course, but Spanish and Arabic are also available. So students who don't speak English at home can get additional help in their home language.
I have a couple questions just this first time so we can get you in our system, and then we've got, we'll help you out with your math homework, okay?
Each student in Shelby County Schools received a Homework Hotline flyer to be included in their binder. So our students easily grab the closest phone and dial a local number 901-416-1234 to call the Homework Hotline, and a fully certified degree teacher is there to help to assist them outside of school hours.
We hope you enjoyed this month's Shelby County Schools Report. If you'd like to learn more about Shelby County Schools, visit us on the web at scsk12.org.
On behalf of everyone here at Germantown High School Television and Shelby County Schools, thank you for watching today's program. We'll see you next time on Shelby County Schools Report.